Hey guys, this will be part one of what I hope is just a two-part series on putting a new transmission in the truck. I went through a long process here and you're going to see most of it chronicled. I had to first of all change Megabench and reduce its size so that I could fit the truck in here. So the first couple minutes of the video are about that, and then I get into the transmission job itself. I describe the parts that you'll need. This is a 1980 C10 Chevrolet pickup, and I'm putting in a 204R. I'm replacing a TH350 3-speed automatic trans and putting in a 4-speed automatic trans. The reason why I got the 204R rather than like a 700R4 or anything else was that all my research indicated that the 204R was the same size as the TH350. Turns out that's true if the TH350 has a shorter, stubby tail shaft on the back. And after I got the transmission out, I found that it did not. It's the longer TH350, and so therefore my 204R is about 2 inches short. I didn't know that as I was making most of this video, and I went forward with all this process, and so I will have to lengthen my drive shaft. And the whole point of this project was that I wouldn't have to mess with the drive shaft. So anyway, you'll see that at the very end. I line the two transmissions up against one another and see the difference in length. But this first part is me getting the transmission out. I tell you the size of the bolts that we need and the process, starting with the drive shaft and the cross member. I ended up removing the starter. You don't necessarily have to do that, but I did that so that I could get access to the torque converter bolts on the back of the flywheel. Got rid of the torque converter bolts, then the bell housing bolts, and I was able to drop the transmission down. I did have to cut one of the cables to my rear brake line because they were seized and they were in the way, and so I'll fix that. Hopefully you don't have to do that. And then the next video will be me putting the 204R in, or 200R4, I don't know what people want to call it, but I think it's 204R. I'll put that in, and hopefully I will then have reverse in the C10 like I didn't before, but I'll have reverse, and I'll be able to back this truck out of this garage and drive it. Oh, and by the way, I also had a tire, my front right passenger tire, threw a tread on me the other day, and so I'll have to fix that too. But anyway, that's where we are with this project. Hope you liked the video. Stay tuned, subscribe below, etc., etc. Thanks, bye. So I need this space to work on the truck, and you saw when I was doing the GMC Acadia brakes that I could only pull it in here about halfway. Really what I would like to be able to do, if possible, is pull the truck all the way in and shut the door, and then spread the transmission job out over a couple days rather than one day. Megabench is way too big. I might actually have to cut Megabench up. What do you think? Should I cut Megabench up? Yeah. Right now. You want to show what we just made? What did we make? What do you think it should be like? Should we do it like this, or should we do it like that?
Do it like this. Because then we can do. No, take your hand off. No, I can hold it. Then we can do. Now.
You want to help me drill another hole?
Give me!
Hey, relax.
Okay. We're gonna do.
Give me!
We're gonna do
Give
one.
me. No, let me. Do we have to do it with a marker? Oh,
We're gonna do a hole right here. Put one right there,
okay.
and then you can drill them.
Hey, I accidentally did that.
It's okay. You see where the dot is? I'll get them started for you. You just do. Perfect. Good job, dude. Let's do the next one. You want to do this one?
Man, I'm listening to some really good stuff from Freedom Hawk. Man, that's some good stuff. I haven't really heard of that before, but it comes to me via Pandora. When I go and search for The Sword, I get all kinds of good stoner rock bands. I don't know if you like that kind of music, but I love that kind of music. So, started with Kaius for me when I was a lot younger, and I fell in love with Queens of the Stone Age, of course, because Josh Homme, and started to learn about The Sword, and then there's other bands like Glow Sun and Elder, and they all show up on this station, and it's just awesome. Anyway, where in the heck are we at on this project? Well, I finally have this space clean. Look at how nice this is. Isn't this great? Oh, it's so exciting. Well, I could fit a truck in here right now. But I have a couple challenges, and I'm probably going to need my vise. Why will I need my vise? Well, I might have to fabricate a transmission crossmember. I'll probably also have to fabricate a holder on the throttle for this. This is a kickdown cable, or a TV cable as they call it. I don't know why they call it TV cable. But what this is it's a kickdown cable. It's a cable that goes from the throttle so that if you goose the throttle, it pulls the shifter on the transmission and makes you downshift. There's a little tiny doohickey right here. This little hook on like a spring-loaded thingamajig down there that makes it shift. So you got to connect it down there, run it back up to your throttle, and then make some sort of bracket on your carburetor so that when you move the throttle, this thing is calibrated to shift. So those are two things that would have to be built. I know at a minimum I will definitely have to build that bracket for the carburetor. I might be able to buy a transmission crossmember. Regardless, I have to get rid of my table saw cart while all this is happening, and I think I mentioned yesterday that I would maybe put it in the back of the truck. That just might actually happen. I think that's all I need. I've got the torque converter already. You can see it here. And I got a new yoke. And I'm going to put this in. And then my drive shaft should be hunky-dory. Hopefully I don't have to shorten that. That's the whole point of getting this transmission, is that it supposedly drops in place of my TH350. And I drop that sucker out, that TH350, I slide him back, and then I back out of here. I'm also going to need some transmission fluid. I got to fill that sucker up if it's not already, and then fill this thing up. And one other thing I'm going to do while the truck is in here on jack stands is change the oil and just see how it's doing in there. Because if it's doing good, I'm leaving that engine in. If it's not doing well, I might just take it out. Probably not now, because I don't have any room to fit an engine in here anywhere. Not to mention pay for one. So that's the story, Morning Glory. What's this? This is a transmission cross member. Got a new starter for the truck. Alrighty. The truck is up on jack stands. I'm not particularly happy with its location, but I'm gonna see if I can make this work. Oh my god. I need a frickin' lift. These bolts are likely rusted, so don't strip them. I think I already stripped one. These are 9/16. So my bolt here is a 5/8, not a 9/16. Just to change it up a little bit and make things different and fun. Am I washed out? Is this what Gina was talking about? Cheers. So I got the transmission cross member out. It turns out that there was a second, or like a fifth bolt here. And I got that bastard out. And now I'm gonna drop this thing. I gotta figure out how to get all the bolts on the back end of the block. But we're coming along now. Drive shaft out, cross member out. Now bolts around belt housing. Alright, so we got a bunch of goofy stuff going on here. You know, we've got some metric bolts and some standard bolts, and it's a little bit silly. These flywheel bolts back here are 14 millimeter. You can see the flywheel here where the torque converter bolts to it. These are 14 millimeter. They're on the back side of that flywheel from my perspective here. And then the belt housing bolts themselves are also 14 millimeter. Right in the center of the frame there's one little bolt, and you can see that it is also holding the dipstick tube on the transmission there. That's one of 6 of the transmission belt housing bolts. And I gotta get all those guys out. I'm debating about taking the starter out right now. One of the challenges with turning the torque converter bolts right now is that it turns the whole engine crank, so I need to somehow hold the whole engine crank steady. And one thing I might do is end up putting a vice clamp, a vice grip on the flywheel and then wedging it against the truck somewhere to hold it steady while I crank on it. There's a whole mess of junk in here, like wire and stuff to that starter. I need to disconnect these 2 transmission lines, the fluid lines. I have to disconnect the linkage still, and you know, if I can get to these stupid bell housing bolts, I'll be in a much better place. Ooh, yeah, here's something fun for you. This is why I had to get towed home the other day. It just completely threw a tread, and it screwed up the fender well. I don't know if you can see that right there.
got this out, I'm seeing that the 204R is maybe 2 inches shorter than my TH350. I was trying to avoid a new drive shaft.
So thanks for watching another episode of Solve Fix Build. In this episode, I took out a TH350 transmission to put in a 200R4 transmission. You saw my whole struggle. Thanks again for watching. Please subscribe. It's fun doing this for you. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot.